Hello everybody, I'm just making a little what's happening video so you can catch up with what I've been up to lately. So this past weekend, I went up north to Barry's Bay, just around the Algonquin Park area, with the East Central Art Association, and we had a painting weekend, which was something very new to me. I've never painted around a bunch of people before. It's a very solitary thing for me to be painting in my studio all day, but yeah, it was an amazing weekend. I'm so happy I went. My mentor Tim Packer and we drove up on Friday afternoon, and as soon as we got there, we set up our painting stations, and we paint until dinner time, and then yeah, I met so many great people. It was kind of a funny experience because I was definitely the youngest person there, probably by about 30 years at least. And yeah, and so I made a lot of new friends, and they're all so welcoming, and it was just like an overall great weekend. So Saturday we woke up at 7 a.m., had breakfast by 8, and then in the studio by 9, just painting all day. And I was worried, how much work I was going to be able to get done when I'm away, but I probably got more work done there than I would have if I was at home. So this is one of the pieces I got done. This was actually based off a few photos that I took when I was at my cottage for the long weekend in May, and the trilliums are in full bloom, and I was just down on my belly taking pictures of all these nice forest floor filled with trilliums, so I thought it would make a nice painting. And I usually don't work on these narrow profile canvases that are, this thick. I usually work on the gallery wrapped canvases because you can get away with not framing them for art shows and whatnot, but my mentor generously donated some of these beautiful frames for me. So I bought two 12 by 16 narrow profile canvases to fit those frames, and I think this is going to look very, very nice once it's all finished and dried to frame it. So this one was done in oil, and I was having a bit of trouble with it over the weekend. I started it on Friday and I was working through it. I was satisfied with my progress, but then on Saturday I got to a point in the painting where I knew it wasn't finished, but I also didn't know what it needed to get to that final stage. So I kind of had to put my brush down and start a new painting because I didn't want to overwork it or make mistakes, and I was just getting frustrated with it. And in that point in the painting that you kind of just need to take a break from it. And actually that night everybody had a critique, so if they wanted to have their work critiqued, we just put it up on the easel and everybody sat around and gave their advice on what you could do to improve the painting. So I got a lot of good advice from everybody, their inputs and everything. So then when I got home, I added some more purple tones because I felt that the color palette was a little bit too, it was just mostly the whites and the greens and the yellows, and we needed something more in there. And a lot of people were suggesting, oh, maybe some oranges, maybe some reds, but I decided to go with a purpley kind of red color, and I added some of that in here. It's probably hard to tell from the camera, but if you check out my Instagram or Facebook, you can see this painting a little more up close. And yes, and then I went in and I reworked it a little bit, and then I'm satisfied with the final product. So if you're ever in a stage where you're in a painting and you're getting frustrated with it, it's best to just leave it and come back the next day or a couple days later, take a look at it with fresh eyes, and then move forward from there. So this is the second painting that I completed that weekend. So this one is actually an acrylic painting, and this is based off of a photo that I took the weekend before I took this picture. up in Gravenhurst on Cashie Lake where my friend's cottage is, and we were just out on a walk and we stumbled upon the scene, and it was a beautiful scene, and I think it made a beautiful painting, so I'm very satisfied with how this one turned out. I loved working with these kind of, it's such a colorful painting, but it's also very muted as well, where it's kind of, it's got this moody feel to it, which I really like, and peaceful and everything, so I'm really happy with this. Painting, I needed a break from my food paintings. I was going to bring up a couple canvases to work on my Canada 150 food series, but I figured that this weekend would be a good way, or a good time to kind of step away from the food stuff, do something new, and that way now I'm ready to come back and start doing the food paintings again. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working on this week. I've got my canvas prepped for my poutine one, which I'll be working on next. I went to the beer store last week for my new beer painting, and the gentleman there was kind enough to go back because I wanted to buy full bottles of beer, but I wasn't able to do that without buying a whole 6-pack, and I wasn't about to buy, like, 5-6 packs of beer when I don't even drink that much beer. So the gentleman at the beer store was kind enough to go back and get me a bunch of empty bottles. So I've decided on 5 beer brands. I'm gonna go photograph the bottles today, get them how I want, so then I can start on that beer painting a little bit after I'm finished the poutine painting. And I'd also like to ideally get all 64 of my little 3x3 paintings finished before my first art show, which is not this weekend, but next weekend. So we'll see how that goes. I think I've got around 15 to 20 left to do, so it's not an out of reach goal, but it's going to be a challenge to get all those finished. But yeah, so thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, then comment below. I'm Britt Cormier, and I'll see you next time.